Alright, you guys, welcome back to the channel. Here for some more Dragon Ball XENOVERSE 3. Today we have a ton of HD gameplay screenshots and details to go over. All this is going to be coming from the official Dragon Ball website, and as you can see, we have a ton of things to break down. Without further ado, make sure to drop a like, turn on post notifications, subscribe if you're new around here. I'll greatly appreciate it. And it does say we got an early taste test of the Dragon Ball XENOVERSE 3 demo. The new battle system was also revealed. This is going to be the very first screenshots. They confirmed the Frieza CAC and female Majin, which is not surprising at all. All the characters from XENOVERSE 2, the CAC races, will be returning in XENOVERSE 3. I believe even during the gameplay demo, we got to see the Namekian CAC in the background, not necessarily someone playing as them. But the rest of the characters, Brett going to be the male Earthling, and Jane 1000 the female Earthling. The latest installment in the Dragon Ball XENOVERSE series, Dragon Ball XENOVERSE 3, is scheduled for release in 2027. I made a prediction a while ago that XENOVERSE 3 could very well drop early 2027, quarter one. My more precise prediction would be February of 2027. This time, the staff of the official Dragon Ball website tried out the latest demo ROM for the game. We'll introduce the flow of the quest and the battle system, which has evolved significantly from the previous game. So major adjustments. The gameplay we've seen doesn't necessarily look like the classic XENOVERSE 2, but I do like the change. I know some people don't necessarily like it, but we do have to try out the demo itself first before we can completely judge XENOVERSE 3. But so far, from what I've seen, I think everything is going to be epic. Also, a new trailer for XENOVERSE 3 was released today. It's a must-see, giving a glimpse into Age 1000, the setting of the story, and hinting at the scale of the work. So be sure to check out the related articles. Stay tuned to the channel because y'all already know we're going to be covering everything. The contents of this demo ROM differ from the final product. Do keep that in mind. Whenever the game fully drops, it will be a bit more polished up. You know, bugs, all that will be fixed, and maybe the HUD will be even different, right? If we give them feedback or just criticize the game in general. Also, the contents described in this article may change in future demos / ROMs, etc. So in yesterday's video, we already went over that there's this XENOVERSE 3 road tour map. There's going to be 11 different events where XENOVERSE 3 will actually be playable, and I'm sure something similar to Sparking Zero, those demos will be slightly different from one another. That's just the typical stuff, how they usually do things. All game screenshots in this article are from the Japanese version of the demo ROM. As a member of the Great Saiyan Squadron, I'll take on this quest. Player character selection. Here's going to be all of that, where the demo only allowed the players to play as the female and male Earthlings, and then on the right we just have the description of the Earthlings and then the stats, which consist of health, strike, ki blast, strike defense, and ki blast defense. Character selection screen at the start of the game. The demo ROM prepared for this event allowed players to choose their character from two races, Earthlings and Saiyans. Ooh, so even Saiyans were part of the demo. But if I recall correctly, the media and other content creators who actually got to witness this overview said that the people who were playing the actual demo only got to showcase the Earthlings, right? Which in this particular case was gameplay of Jane 1000. I'm looking forward to the actual Saiyans. It's interesting because Earthlings can also transform into Super Saiyan. We've seen John do that in the actual revealed trailer that dropped a couple days ago. So Saiyans, I wonder if their stats are probably going to be different. But I wonder if they're going to have like more exclusive Saiyan transformations that humans can't necessarily do. The staff chose Earthlings. With well-balanced abilities and an all-rounder persona, it felt perfect for a first playthrough. While character creation is normally possible at this point, the demo ROM starts the game with a player character designed by Akira Toriyama himself. Let's save the fun of creating our own avatar in the full version of the game. So people have been scared already, saying that, are these going to be stock characters, as in we can't necessarily create our own? No, we can create our own. They just confirmed it here. Just for the demo, we got to play as the characters that were designed by the legend himself, Akira Toriyama, Jane, and John 1000. I like the outfits. You already know the customization to this game is going to be seconds to none and way better compared to Xenoverse 1 and 2. More of that city, cyberpunk fashion going on. I like it. Start playing as a resident of Age 1000. Here is another screenshot. It's just going to be the character, you know, starting off in her room. And it's been confirmed that we'll be able to customize the CAC room to our liking. That is crazy, man. This really is the GTA of anime games. Moving forward, from the Arm Mountain information terminals to the wall displays, it's full of futuristic vibes right from the start. So there's going to be a ton of screens, projections all over the place. Very futuristic. I mean, at the start, we do see this floaty robot. The gameplay begins in my room, where the atmosphere of far more advanced technology than the present day perfectly matches the piles of magazines and other items on the floor. I wonder if the player character in the game is also bad at tidying up, just like the staff. Just as I was feeling a sense of kingship with them, I received a call from Gamma 1. Followed their instructions to meet up, I left my room and headed to the entrance. Okay, so it's more of a deep dive of the actual playable demo, right? Just walking us through it, if you will. I ran into Trunks when I left my room. Now, we don't necessarily know too much about the storyline. Again, this is set during Age 1000. So how is Trunks over here alive and well? He should be long gone, theoretically. But time travel, that's his thing. Or, yeah, again, we don't know exactly how the original cast characters are roaming around in 1000, but Trunks right there is going to be one of the characters that we speak to in terms of doing parallel quests. This very well could be part of the main story. And the models, pretty dang top tier, 100% better than Xenoverse 2. The graphics, 10 out of 10, right? Don't have that metallic, ugly, dipped in oil look. More of that cel-shaded anime style. Perfect. The environment, hopefully the open world is vast. That's something that we're going to break down here soon. I ran into Trunks when I left my room. In the demo ROM, you could have simple conversations with familiar characters in the entrance area. It's unclear how they will appear in the final product, but having these familiar characters there really makes you feel like you're in the world of Dragon Ball, alright? I mean, it does make sense having the cast characters around, the original ones. So this is going to be the outside of the building. Pretty dang nice. Again, going back to the open world, we need this to be vast. Hopefully there's other areas that we get to explore, like Kami's Lookout, Kame House, Rocky Mountains, Glacier, you know, just fly around, free roam. Not necessarily true open worlds, but let's say something similar to DBZ Kakarot, where you get to pick the location and then you get to roam around, you know what I mean? So in the background of this image, we do see Age 1000, just continuing the quest. Brett 1000 right next to Gamma 1. Oh wait, did I say Age 1000? I meant Gamma 1. Yeah, but in this game, his shirt says Gamma 1000, which is kind of cool. And then other characters roaming around, probably just normal civilians, could be warriors. Look how futuristic everything is. The orange tube, I'm assuming that's where like cars fly through. You can see top left corner of the screen, the giant headquarters of Great Sand Squad, or Boma is that, I'm assuming. Very nice. Going back over here, step out of the entrance and you'll find yourself in the unknown world of Age 1000. The new city area has a futuristic feel, yet what appears to be a pipe-like tunnel floating in the sky. It also retains some of the charm of West City, creating a cityscape where new and nostalgic feelings coexist for Dragon Ball fans. Of course, they're trying their best to capture that original feel, like what they said before about the characters and now the city itself. I feel the urge to wander around the field at will. Hopefully it's large, right? But it seems that the area I can move around is in is limited this time. Okay, so just for the demo or maybe part of the game, it's limited. So hopefully throughout the many other upcoming demos, we'll unlock more areas to roam around in, or maybe just playing the game itself, right? You progress through the story and then you have different sections of West City we get to fly through. That'll be cool. I mean, that's technically what it said here. It's limited during this time. I'll save the exploration for another and talk to Gamma 1, who is standing in front of me to accept a quest exclusive to the demo ROM. Oh, okay, so we already know what quest it is. It's the DBS Broly one. We've seen gameplay of that. So that Broly is exclusive to the demo. Interesting. The quest screen allows you to check the success conditions and other details. Now here we have more of the RPG elements, you know, where we just get to pick the quest itself. It tells us what we get in return as the rewards, the level you have to be, the level of the opponent, I'm assuming. I went ahead and did the bootleg Google translations. It might not be 100% accurate, just working with what we got. So top right, it does say GS power, which probably Great Salmon's power, 2,887. Dang, we're at least stronger than Cybermen. Aren't these Cybermen's power levels like around 1,500? Yeah. Okay. It does say special mission investigation the ice, or special mission investigate the ice contents. There it is. It's a simple side quest, and it does say required GS power, none. Okay, ours is 2,800, so we should be good. Time limit to beat it, it says unlimited, so you can take your sweet time if you want to. Conditions, defeat all enemies. There's more, can't necessarily read it, too blurry. The very bottom does say reward. First reward? Okay. Yeah, so just the single play reception, if you will. Not necessarily the main campaign. Oh, there's going to be so much things to do in the actual game. I'm looking forward to it. We're just getting the tip of the iceberg, if you will, in terms of reveals and details. But it's pretty dang good, considering the game is dropping in, what, about 8 months from now? And we're getting this much content already. The player character is then transported to an icy continent, and the quest finally begins. And here we have the first image of that. It's cool how when we roam around Canton City, or not Canton City, that's Xenoverse 2, New West City, Age 1000, we have our casual fit, the outfit, but when we jump into actual gameplay, we switch over to the Great Salmon outfit. So wouldn't it be cool? It kind of seems like it already, but wouldn't it be nice if we could have two different outfits, one for just roaming around and one during battle, so we can, you know, change things up a bit? Because in Xenoverse 1 and 2, your Content City outfit was the same as your battle outfit, right? But it seems like it's going to be different here, which is nice, man. That's kind of nice. An exploratory quest that accelerates the Dragon Ball experience. In this game, some quests are exploration type, where players must complete each stage on the map while achieving the objectives set for each quest. Going back to more of the RPG or MMO elements to the game. Exploration type quests? I mean, yeah, that makes sense. In Xenoverse 2, we had different types as well. You know, collecting the Dragon Balls, or just defeating multiple enemies, like around 10, or just going after the main boss himself. It seems like they're still going to be doing all of that. At the start of a quest, the quest name and objectives will be displayed. That's returning. Nice. Didn't necessarily translate this, but nothing too fancy going on. It's just the title of the quest itself. The stages are seamlessly connected, and movement using the flying technique is incredibly smooth. The fast pace of defeating enemies that appear one after another and progressing through the stage is quite different from the previous game, making you feel like you're adventuring in a part of the Dragon Ball world. Yeah, so going back to Xenoverse 2, I remember one stage in particular where it was kind of big. It was the expanded version of Planet Namek. You guys know how you can start in one end with the Frieza spaceship and then go all the way to the other end to the Capsule Corporation Goku spaceship. That was, I think, the largest map in the game. So this is going to be 100 times larger than that, I'm assuming, right? All the locations are seamlessly connected. Flying technique is going to be extremely smooth. That's going to be our main source of traversing the map itself. And you have to defeat the specific location enemies in order to progress. Even just moving through the gaps in the ice cliffs is incredibly fun. So just zipping around, roaming around, dodging all the incoming blast or environmental stages, if you will. Look at that, man. The glacier stage does not look this good in Xenoverse 2. This is just completely built from the ground up. The graphics, all the... just the visual of the game, you know, gameplay, features. Oh my days. I just really want to play the demo, man. I need to get hands on the demo. Going back over here. Furthermore, some techniques allow you to attack multiple enemy characters simultaneously. In this demo ROM, the ultimate technique, Super Kamehameha, is an example of this. The exhilarating feeling of blasting away multiple enemies at once is sure to be addictive. Epic. Now, in Xenoverse 2, you can still attack multiple enemies if they're in the line of sight. However, you can only lock onto one opponent at a time. Now, in Xenoverse 3, you can see we have the sequence of the Super Kamehameha being used. You have a ton of opponents right in front of you, and since the energy blast is so wide and massive, it would just engulf the entire screen, attacking everybody who's in the line of sight. But the drastic difference from the Super Kamehameha compared to Xenoverse 2 is that we get to take aim, move around during the charge animation, and then once we're ready, once we have the precise spot that we want to attack, then we launch it out. Numerous suspension type battle drones stand in the player's way. He immediately unleashed his Super Kamehameha and took aim. See this part right here. First, there's like two different animations, one where you actually charge it up, and then when you hold on to the charge, that's where you aim, as you can see up on screen. And then boom, devastation, annihilation, obliteration. With an energy wave that almost completely covers the screen, the enemy is knocked out all at once. It kind of looks a little bit like DBZ Kakarot, just the numbers, because when you hit the opponent, the numbers kind of appears up on screen. That's nice. What do you guys think about the HUD in general, where there's the character's health, life force top left, we have the mission objective on the far left center of the screen. The bottom right is going to be the actual attacks. That's something similar where you press R2, then you have the 4 abilities. Bottom left is the L2 button, so that's different because in order to transform you have to activate L2 and R2, but now like the transformation is just specifically under the L2 preset with Trunks there. You can transform into Super Saiyans or have the soul change where you go into the cast characters and then don't necessarily know what the other two L2 buttons are, the key blast ones. Oh, that's probably the ultimate Super Kamehameha. And yeah, man, I think it looks great. It's nice. Moving forward. Furthermore, players participate in quests as part of the Great Saiyan Squadron. The allied GS Squadron members, NPCs in the demo, perform various actions such as blocking enemy attacks with barriers and healing damaged player characters. This game, like its predecessor, is planned to support multiplayer, meaning players should be able to participate in quests like these with friends, which only increases the anticipation. So yeah, a ton of online features. Whether you want to play offline, do your own things at your own pace, that's totally fine. Or, you know, jump online, parallel quest, or 1v1 battles, 2v2s, 3v3s. Hopefully those are coming back, not necessarily confirmed at the time of recording this video. Something I've mentioned a ton of times before. I think it would be great if there's actual co-op story campaign missions or a co-op story mode, whatever it may be. You know what I mean? That will be the cherry on top for sure. And here we have the image that we saw at the starts of the video. This is just going to be the intro of each raid or side quest, right? Where you have your team jump all in with this epic cinematic. Again, didn't necessarily see proper gameplay of Frieza CAC or Fuma Majin, but they did select them as teammates, so you could kind of see them in the background like what the description said, guarding attacks, throwing out simple ki blast attacks, or just striking the opponents. Next, it does say the cut-in poses at the start of the quest are also full of Super Sentai style, kind of like heroic vibes, if you will. And finally, you arrive at the deepest part of the stage, standing before the player as the boss of this quest is Broly, Super Saiyan Full Power, who appeared in the movie Dragon Ball Super Broly. So they're just saying right off the bat, yes, Dragon Ball Super Broly content is going to be in the game. Don't necessarily have to wait for any updates or DLCs, which is something similar to Sparking Zero, right? Wait, no. Yeah, Sparking Zero, they had the DBS Broly content right off the bat, like Wrathful Broly, Blue Goku, Blue God Vegeta, with their DBS Broly animations. Hopefully, superhero contents will be part of the game right off the bat. That's something that's usually DLC, but I feel like since this game is going to be dropping in 2027, the superhero movie came out when? 2022? Or was it 2018? Jesus, I can't even remember. But you know what I mean? It's like far enough where superhero content should be already in the base game without waiting for DLC. Which could be the case because in the actual teaser trailer, the first one that they showed off at Kinkitama Matsuri, they did show the superhero variation of Gohan, Potential Unleashed. You guys remember when John 1000 was going through time or whatnot? When a warning appears, it's a sign that a formidable enemy is about to appear. So same thing as in XENOVERSE 2, we had the warning signs for the final part of the mission, but that was like the extra part of it. You had to complete the conditions to unlock that main part, right? So I wonder if that's the same thing for XENOVERSE 3, where you have to kind of like meet the conditions they give you in order to have access to this final DBS Broly section. Broly unleashes attacks straight out of the movie, including energy blasts from all directions. Getting hit by his energy blast will inevitably cause massive damage, so you'll need to rely on the barriers provided by your GS teammates to escape his attacks. Okay, so your teammates' barriers can actually assist you. That was not a thing in XENOVERSE 2. According to the advice that appears in the bottom right corner of the screen, you can avoid the energy blast by hiding behind icebergs. Thanks for the advice. Okay, and here's that. So they actually already used the soul change into Trunks, where you literally just become the cast characters, your combo strings, supers, ultimates, motto, obviously, all that changes. And then, yeah, just like what the description said, Broly using movie-accurate techniques, just trying your best to bob and weave incoming attacks. What is this move called again? I can't. Blaster Meteor, the evasive move, where he throws out all the incoming blasts, or something along those lines. Hurry and move towards the icebergs visible at the bottom and back right of the screen. Yeah, so just try your best to dodge everything. I managed to dodge the energy blast by hiding behind an iceberg, and when I glanced at the producer of Dragon Ball XENOVERSE 3, who was standing with his arms crossed behind the demo ROM, he said, "We've set the difficulty of defeating Broly to be on the higher side of this demo. I should have asked before playing." Okay, so it seems like you could change the difficulty, or maybe that's something they just did behind the scenes, right? Programmed the actual character to be difficult. But I'm sure there will be some sort of difficulty setting in the actual game. After that, with advice from the producer and supports from my fellow GS Sentai members, I narrowly defeated Broly. I won the fierce battle on the icy continent and completed the quest. Success! And we have this cool team up outro screen for the team. The rewards better be great. I know we kind of went over that already. It said first reward, so nothing too specific. Quest completion screen where battle results and other information are displayed. Now that we've successfully completed the quest and taken a breather, let's take a closer look at the battle system, which is the heart of Dragon Ball action. Let's go! Introducing a new battle system that lets you enjoy exhilarating Dragon Ball action. Utilize the appropriate skill attributes for each situation. The special moves, ultimate moves that player characters can use are assigned one of 3 attributes: guard piercing, stamina draining, or break critical hits. Ooh. Wait just a minute. This is completely new to me. The special moves, ultimate moves that player characters can use are assigned one of the 3 attributes: guard piercing, stamina draining, or break critical. Okay, so this is stuff that they revealed at the V-Jump scans, right? Guard piercing. Oh, nice. So you have to be strategic when you create your actual build for CACs. I wonder if you can just have like all moves under the break critical hits. You know what I mean? Or like if it forces you to pick an attack from guard piercing, stamina draining, and break hit critical. Okay. Oh, and those are the symbols. So let's open this up. The red and yellow icons, right? The thunderbolt, the kind of like that limit break symbol, and then the X preset. That one doesn't necessarily have an icon to it. Okay. Nice. Going back over here, it does say in this demo ROM, we were able to confirm the break critical hit type marked red and the stamina drain type marked in yellow. That's weird how the key boss attacks, well, specifically the Kamehameha, is a stamina drain move, because that was never a thing in the anime. It is what it is. I guess the RPG elements are in play, right? I'm fine with it. Doesn't necessarily matter to me. Each type of attack has its own unique characteristics. Guard piercing type deals damage by penetrating the enemy's guard. Spirit draining type significantly reduces the enemy's spirit break. Critical type deals massive damage, and it's compatible with break critical hits. In this game, reducing an enemy's spirit gauge to 0 puts them into a state called spirit break. Oh my days. So you use the spirit draining type, which breaks their spirit, and then you have a chance to follow up with epic other attacks, I guess. Interesting. Soon we'll be professionals about all this, and then we'll just come up with the most chaotic builds. But yeah, that's some great details / informations there. Moving forward, the curved gauge displayed next to the character is the stamina gauge. Okay, so I was actually confused during the actual gameplay reaction. I had no idea what I was looking at. The health is obvious. That's on top of the opponent, but the gauge, the vertical one, right besides the circular sphere, right next to the opponent, the one that says 0, the orange one, that's the stamina, apparently. Or was that the key? It does say stamina, but this is the bootleg Google translations. This is normally the Japanese page. The number indicates the remaining amount of stamina. When you use a special move, ultimate move, with the break critical attributes on an enemy in stamina break states, a special motion called critical or break critical will be activated. You can deal massive damage to the enemy with a flashy cool animation. Oh, you know, it'd be so epic if each super and ultimate attack gets their own flashy and cool animation when you use it against an opponent who's in the stamina break state. You know what this reminds me of, actually? Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. They had that break stamina bar. You know, after you break it, each attack have their own cinematics. Yeah, I guess they were a bit inspired by Kakarot in a way. That's interesting. So Super God Fist, that's the typical cutscene animation to it. I am assuming if you use this technique when they're not in the stamina break states, then it would just be a normal Super God Fist without this cinematic, right? It's normal camera angle, stuff like that. But man, now we have to use every single attack 2 times. One normally, and then one during the stamina break state. Okay, that is going to be time consuming. You know, doing like all super and ultimate type videos. The cut in captures the moment when a pool's sweat flies, creating a truly powerful image. The most efficient way to deal damage in battle seems to be to use stamina draining techniques, dealing damage with normal and special moves to reduce the opponent's stamina, and then once they enter a stamina break state, using break critical techniques to land a break critical. Yeah, as we just explained. Again, the break critical is going to be the ride type moves. Yeah, so you would want to use the stamina drain majority during the combat to have the opponent enter that break strike, and then the break critical hit type super attacks will excel the most during that phase. Of course, you can still use it and it will still do damage, but probably not as much during when the opponent is in that stamina break state, you know what I mean? A major change from Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is that special moves no longer consume the stamina gauge when activated and can be used at the cooldown interval set for each special move. The screen immediately after firing a Kamehameha wave, it shows that the cooldown period has begun. Okay, so yeah, Xenoverse 2, it always consumed ki. Some moves did consume stamina, like the evasives. But now, everything is apparently under a cooldown period. So you can't necessarily spam anymore 24/7 if you have like an infinite key build or whatever. It's just under cooldowns. So that's an interesting thing if you ask me. Let me know how you guys feel about that. We haven't necessarily seen PvP footage just yet. All of that could be very different from the original parallel quest missions or story missions. I wouldn't necessarily assume the gameplay to be vastly different from the parallel quests and stuff like that. So PvP might be basically just this, but we still haven't seen actual footage of all of that. In addition to enemy characters, player characters also have Spirit Gauge. Taking damage or overusing the Escape Vanish, oh, so we do have an evasive, will deplete your spirit. So Escape Vanish dodge, yeah, will drastically do that. Running out of spirit will also put you in a spirit break state. Oh no! So we can also enter the, well, this is called stamina break state. Okay, so we have our own unique state once we use up all our resources. So it's important to pay attention to your remaining spirit while fighting. Unleash the power of seasoned warriors within yourself. Soul Change. If your Soul Change gauge is full, you can activate Soul Change, which allows you to summon the souls of warriors from the Dragon Ball series and use their power to fight. And here we have the sequence of all of that. Special cuts in animation when Soul Change is activated. When you possess a soul, the player character transforms into Trunks. So just to reiterate, this does not, well, yes, this does replace your original Super Saiyan Awoken skills. However, you get to pick from one or the other. So if you want to have a legitimate transformation like Super Saiyan 1, 2, 3, God Blue, then you would have to pick that instead of Soul Change. Soul Change is not necessarily required. So if you don't necessarily like transforming into cast characters, then don't pick it. Just pick a standard transformation. But you can only pick one or the other. You can't have both. At least that's what I'm assuming over here. And they've already confirmed Vegeta and Trunks. We've seen the actual Trunks gameplay. And this demo ROM, Future Trunks from Z, was selected after transforming. His HP recovered, his stats such as attack power also increased significantly. He was able to inflict significant damage on the formidable Broly, so I felt that he might be a trump card in the game's battle system. And combined with the emotional appeal of being able to switch to your favorite character, that's the impression I got. So rivaling the strength of Broly, kind of like a last resort type of thing. Maybe something similar to Limit Bursts in Xenoverse 2. Like if you're losing the battle, you can maybe transform into the cast character, which did say replenished his health, right? Might not be a thing in PvP, but your attacks and all that will be a lot higher. Now, the interesting thing is, I wonder if the Awoken skills, like the standard Super Saiyan 1, 2, and 3s, will give you this much of a great boost. Because it seems like if you transform into the Soul Change, you'll do this comeback with ease. With replenished health, more damage. But with actual Super Saiyans, let's say if you don't go with a Soul Change, Will you get a huge power boost that's something similar to the soul change? You know what I mean? But I'm not entirely sure about all of that. Special moves and other actions will, of course, be unique to each character. We did see his Heat Dome attack in action. You can see Broly's fatigued, probably in that break state situation that they talked about. Also, we couldn't experience the awakening techniques. There it is, the transformations from the previous game in this demo. You can experience them by selecting Saiyan in the character selection at the start of the game. Oh. Ooh, so Saiyans can do all of that. But wait, we did see John 1000 transform into a Super Saiyan in the actual trailer that dropped a couple days ago. So I'm assuming humans can also transform. If you have an awakening technique set, you can transform into Super Saiyan if your race is Saiyan, and so on. Each race can awaken into a different higher form, making for an incredibly exciting battle system. Looking forward to all of that, man. This time, we only had a limited time to try out the demo ROM, but we were able to fully enjoy the latest Dragon Ball action aspects, including the seamless movement within the stages, the way of each punch felt in the cut-ins, and the detailed motion of each technique. We combined speed and impact. In addition, new systems such as cooldowns, attribute-based special moves, and soul change allowed us to fully enjoy not only the evolution of the battle system in terms of tactics and strategy, but also the essence of the latest Dragon Ball action. We are also looking forward to seeing what kind of story will unfold in Age 1000. Although detailed information has not yet been revealed, that's going to be a separate time. This was more of the gameplay breakdown. The latest information, including our experience playing the demo ROM, will be posted on the Dragon Ball official site, so please look forward to the future updates. Y'all know me, stay tuned to the channel because we're going to be covering everything Dragon Ball Xenoverse 3 related. Yeah, very fun video today. A ton of info and details that they provided for us. Greatly appreciate all of that. And thank you guys for the immense support, for supporting the Xenoverse 3 content. I always appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and this is it for today's video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace!